Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's Aligning with Success with Mike and Dave. Good evening, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. Nice to
How
be here again.
how
And
was your weekend?
we're halfway through the month.
We're halfway through the month. Yes, we
Yep.
are.
Pivotal
Now,
day.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll get to the subject material in a second. There was a question with respect to the calendar. No, not the calendar. Well, I guess it's on the calendar.
Yeah,
Um,
the
Go ahead.
as I understand it, there's this call tonight. Tomorrow at 5, there's what's always been called Balanced Life, Happy Life.
Yeah,
And then am I correct in understanding that Wednesday at 5 is the call, the brand call?
correct.
And then Thursday at 5, for those who have guests to bring, there is a what I've taken to calling Show Me the Money call.
Yeah, yes, there is. In fact,
And then
so
what about Niken's Humans Being More and Entrepreneurs Being More? Are they at
those
6 on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
they are
Yes.
being moved. Yes, and the update to the Niken Connect is in progress. So we were hoping to have it sooner, but we should have it this week. So the next newsletter, Core Consultant newsletter, should have the updated Niken Connect, which will make all those adjustments known to all of us. So yeah, the main curriculum for the what we're calling the accelerator program or the accelerator rhythm is the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday. That would be the cycle. So Tuesday, opportunity, Wednesday, product, disclosure, Thursday, business, the mechanics of the business, and then enrollment would bring somebody to the Monday, this call, where they want to participate now in the conversation of being an Econ Wellness consultant and participating in the activities of the month. This call being not a general call as much as now more of a strategic call for executing what is going on in the course of this month. And for those of you who have set a goal for this month, we're mid-month. For those of you who have not set a goal, I really wonder what you're doing. Honest to God, it's nothing short of frustrating wondering how to help somebody when they haven't committed to moving the dial. So for the purposes of this call, we want this call to become action oriented and productive, which means we're moving towards something. And it's, if you listen to the recommendation I made last week, I'm called to listen to the audio Silvers of Blast. The course of the month, during the course of the month that people are in action mode, running for an objective, the month has hills and valleys. It's not a steady climb. It's a really dynamic experience. So this call wants to reflect the dynamic experience, which means we need to get into somebody's business who is actually in action mode and see if we can help move those activities along. So it's very difficult to be on a call when there aren't actions being taken that we can address. So, and I don't know if you guys are waiting for somebody or something. I don't know, but you're it. Tag, you're it. Now, yeah, go
Michael, I'd
ahead.
like to jump in here just real quick on this topic. If we understand our compensation plan, you're paid when somebody else does something. So if it's a retail sale, then it's the consumer or the customer buying your product and paying the do-re-mi that creates a commission that you get paid on. And if it's a distributor who recruits a distributor who creates volume, and that's how you get paid. Now, the wonderful thing about building an organization is to somebody brand new, they have a whole different vibe about what they're doing versus some of us old timers who have an older vibe of, oh, been there, done that. Okay, we got to do that again. No, I don't want to do that. Where the new person doesn't really have anything. And this kind of goes along with what we talked about last week with Paul, in the sense of you got the goal for the big prize, which is Royal Diamond. And Royal Diamond's not one person, it's a group of people. And it's how does that group get started and how does that group grow becomes the issue of the day. So as we talked about and Mike laid out very nicely in the penny double theory, where if you did 1 cent one day, 2 cents the next day, 4 cents the next day, 8 cents the next day, and then by the time you got to 31 days, you're over $5 million. But if you only did half of that, you're at about $186 for the course of the month. And the idea of what we observed in our building of this business over time was that you go find somebody to play with. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to have somebody who wants to play. And then from there, you help them play. You help them develop their team. You help develop, their situation. Now, here's the question. Each one of you is making $20,000 a month with Nikken. How easy is it going to be to go recruit the next person? It's going to be damn easy. Because you have the story, you have the proof in the pudding, et cetera, et cetera. So in order to get there, you have to make that happen. You have to create that. And it starts off with you and one other person. Then there's two of you, and that creates synergy. And then the two of you plan and strategize for that person to grow to 4, 8, 12, 16, whatever the number is. But that's you and that person. But when that person becomes stable and they start to see it's winning and they start to see the growth and you've got a little bit of depth in your organization and they can become self-sufficient, then you can move on from there. So for me, and again, and addressing what Michael's saying, create the plan to find a partner to play with. And then once you've got that in play, then the rest takes care of it. And you're going to hear a story tonight of how this is working by somebody that's been on our call and has been spending the time, is learning what to do, is doing the grunt work, is going out and has found somebody that wants to play. And it's what we're trying to communicate today. So back to you, Mike.
Again, the point I think is the simplest point to take away from all of this is find somebody to play with. And if that was your focus, if that was the plan, by the end of this month, I'm going to have that person that I'm going to play with, that's going to be committed to playing with me. Now, what is the level, what's the activity necessary to find that individual? Notice you're finding them. Like we're in the finding business. We don't create anything. We find people, we assemble people, and we gather around ideas. We gather around causes. We gather around common interests. We're not creating leaders. We're just gathering them and helping them self-qualify, rise to whatever level of achievement they want to rise to. I didn't create a single diamond or royal diamond in the business. The only thing Mike DiMuccio can take credit for is for giving birth. That I'm in charge of. What happens after that? It's really going to be up to the individual, because I have the best information there is in the world of network marketing. But if it falls on deaf ears, what value is it? So finding that person who wants to play means finding that person who responds and takes action on the information, the knowledge, whatever you impart. And that's the first, it's got to be your first priority if you don't have somebody to play with. It has to be the number one thing you could possibly do. And so here's what happens, by the way. The consequence of that action is you're going to be talking to people, first of all. You're going to start thinking about people to talk to, but you're looking for a particular type of person. So already you're going to start thinking about people in a particular way. See, it starts to shape and govern your thought process. So you're going to start talking to people. You're going to start interviewing people. You're going to start finding out who they are, what do they want, seeing whether or not, is this a person I can play with? And by doing that, inevitably you're going to be introducing them to Niken. And inevitably they will self-qualify either as a prospect or somebody who connects you to another prospect. They'll self-qualify as a customer or as a retail customer or a wholesale customer. And then once you've gathered some wholesale customers, I call those kind of dry logs. Once you gather enough dry logs, you light that match and you can start a bonfire. And you find out who really is on fire, who really wants to play. So it's the consequence of looking for your partner, your teammate, that one person that you're going to build a future with is going to result in a lot of other things coming on board, which you get paid for. You get paid for people who purchase the products, whether they buy it at retail or they buy it at wholesale. So at the end of the day, what is it that you're really looking for? It's a lot more fun to play this game with somebody else. Otherwise, you're a lone ranger doing direct sales, and you know that's a linear objective. That's not a non-linear objective. That is not an opportunity that grows exponentially. That is not an opportunity that leads to residual income. Unless, you're counting on having 1,000 customers replacing their water filter every 3 months. Yeah, that's a good residual business, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is a direct sales business versus a network marketing business, which is really a team sport. And we have a lot more fun in that.
Mike, I'd like to add to that exactly what you're saying. This Wednesday, I'm a guest on a podcast, and the name of the podcast is The Job Doctor, and the host is Tessa White. Now, it's going to be recorded, then I don't know when it's going to play, but here's what this podcast is about, so you get a general idea of where the public's at. People have a love-hate relationship with the workspace, and it's not getting any easier. If anything, the friction is at an all-time high. Now, this is coming from an individual that deals with this, has a huge following, and is got this ongoing podcast that has people looking for information as to what to do. This is the key to finding the person you want to play with, is to find out what they need or want. Now, when I'm one-on-one teaching with somebody, I'm going to tell you not to recruit somebody off the cuff, but you want to act like you're the employer and they're the employee and they're looking for a position. You want to interview them. And you want to ask them questions about who they are, what they are, where they're going, what they want, what they're like, what they don't like, what they're dissatisfied with, all of that kind of stuff. Because what we really do is we are going to provide them with a solution. Now, the key to that solution is it's the Cinderella story. Does it fit them? Do you shape it? Do you just talk about it? Do you get them excited about it, et cetera, based on who they are? And again, last Thursday, we had the opportunity to deal with the gentleman that had come on, and you're going to hear more about this earlier, but he was in the right position. He was looking for something, and we then found that out. We then opened the door, and lo and behold, the next thing happened for him, and it's very exciting. So,
Paul, before we get to you, Paul, sorry to interrupt Dave. You're talking about Cheryl's guest, so Cheryl's on the line. Why don't we ask her about what
Yes.
happened? Cheryl, would you give us a play-by-play?
Sure. A couple of weeks ago, I had some people come on the Tuesday night call. I had 5 people there. 3 people came on a Thursday. 2 were customers, and 1 is looking into the business. And then I had another gentleman who came on the the last Tuesday call, and he agreed to come on the Thursday call that we had that just passed with you, Mike and Dave. And we just found out more about what it is that he wanted to do. He did definitely tell me that he was very comfortable with how you, Mike and Dave, made him feel. And I was listening to how you were probing him, but not really probing him, but getting out the answers that I needed, to help him get what he wanted. So he did end up signing up. He is very interested in trying the products, and he is already talking to his best friend because he's looking into some products for her also. So I'm just going to he did say to me twice that he wanted to take things step by step, one thing at a time. So I want to do my best not to overwhelm him, but to stay abreast of what he's doing so I can get the support that I need to guide him in the way that he needs to go. So he can get what he wants and I can get what I want. And it's a win-win around the table. But he was very impressed with the Thursday call with you, Mike, and Dave. I think it kind of sealed the deal for me, if I might say.
All right, terrific.
And thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
And
you.
that really, Sherrill, was the purpose of the call, was to, get him over the edge, but feeling comfortable jumping over the edge, and with a plan, with a strategy to move forward, not just an empty promise of, just sign up and away, everything will take care of itself. We laid it out what he needed to do. It was great. So well
Yes,
done.
it was. Thank you, gentlemen.
And by the way, just an FYI, that the plan was specific to him. It wasn't the launch strategy that I ordinarily present if somebody's looking for a fast rise. So it was tailored to that person and where they were at in this process. So that's one of the things that happens on that call on Thursday, is it's responsive, it's reactive to who's there. We could have had somebody on the other end of the spectrum. We would have addressed that as well, so that whoever's listening sees what the range of possibility is. Because at the end of the day, you can pretty much fit any type of business in Nikan. You could have a retail business, you could have a traditional business, a traditional small business in Nikan, or you could have a network marketing business. Those are all businesses that you can have in Nikan. So which one is best suited for that person at that time is the one we want to address. Paul.
Yes, it's very different when you have new people to work with, and I do. I have to say that Balanced Life, Happy Life on the 27th of August, that's the latest I could find. Anyway, it's really good. And I've spent a couple of hours with a couple of people, and they're now queued in to listen to that. And I have a meeting again with the one of the people, and we'll see how they responded to that video. And so there probably could be a three-way call with you, Mike, after, on Wednesday sometime, to queue up maybe Thursday night and Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday night and Thursday night. So
Okay. So, I mean, we do know the process works, right? We know that
Yeah.
moving people from one conversation to the next, and again, just to paraphrase, what are these conversations about? The first one is about why. Why would they even entertain an opportunity of any kind, let alone Nikan? The second conversation is how. How can Nikan solve their why, their needs? And then the third conversation is, what do we have to do to get this thing going? What does it take to get it going and sustain it? Because people need to know, you're not going to jump into a career opportunity or any type of opportunity until you know what is being asked of you. What is the demands of your time and your resources. So it's only fair that we disclose that information based on what it is that they want to achieve, that there's a correlation. And it's a lot more believable, by the way. It's way more believable if you tell somebody the truth, because they're so jaded by the many opportunities they've probably been presented to that are full of hype, that when you actually present the truth, it's refreshing and it's more credible and believable. They tend to lean into that. They want to associate with people who are telling them the truth.
And to add to what Michael's saying about that, so many network marketers never became privy to how network marketing works because they were associated with an upline that didn't know how it worked and didn't do the right activities, and in that process were wasted. They came in a little bit, maybe did a little bit, now that didn't work, they didn't get the results, they weren't doing the right activities. And what I found in research was that there's a great number of people out there that really loved the idea of what we do. They just didn't have the right information and education to do it properly. So you might want to keep that in mind with where you look for people to talk to, because they could be a great source and have been a great source for us for a long time.
And by the way, the corollary of that is true. You could have had such an incredibly competent upline that you got totally whisked away into the vacuum of their ability, and never got the level of comprehension to be able to replicate it, to duplicate it. So that's operating with a conscious competent who is not a very good teacher. And that happens all the time in network marketing. So to have somebody who's conscious, competent, and can educate, can teach you, that's when you really have a system that can be duplicated. So this may end up being a short call because, I mean, we do want to be productive. And if we don't have somebody to invite to tomorrow night's call, might better use the next half hour to make some invitations. Cheryl.
Yes, maybe you can help me. Okay, so I'm an executive. I just had a gentleman who signed up under me. He's going, most likely he's going to place his order as a wholesale order. Do I get paid?
Yes, of course you do. So, Cheryl, this is the beautiful thing called the We Accelerate program.
Okay.
First of all, as an executive, you have an override on that person's initial purchase up until the time they match your rank. So whatever the volume, as an executive, you're at, it's 1,500 points. So until they hit 1,500 points, you have an override on their activity. You have, first of all, 10% until they hit 500, and then you have 5% until they hit 1,500.
1,500.
But the ride all the way up, you have 20% in the We Accelerate program. And that continues. Even though you're matched at rank, that will continue for the first 4 months of their Nikken career. So you want to help maximize that person's activities because you're going to get paid regardless of your rank, regardless of their rank, by that We Accelerate program.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you very much.
And the other new rule is that he'll always stay under her. So before, she would have to find a couple other seniors or executives. So he always stays under her, but you want to keep sponsoring, Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm still looking. I'm
Yeah.
gonna find them.
Yeah, so the idea here is build
No
a
more
team.
bypass.
Building a team, building a team, building a team. First of all, find a running mate. I mean, it's a good word too to use. You're literally finding a running mate because there's something to be said about two or more. When two or more are gathered, when two or more present an idea, when two or more, that has in itself a dynamic, a synergy, as Dave pointed out, that transfers to the people that you're talking with. So yeah. Hattie Jane.
Just to be careful, during that 4 months that you got that 20%, can they, when they sign up someone under them, can they do the same process? And you continue your 20%?
Your 20% is on all of their personal volume, their PV. When they enroll somebody, that's GV. So now they're the ones earning the We Accelerate bonus. Now, here's another nice thing about that. People who make money tend to stick around. So one of your goals is to help them make money. If your focus is, by the way, the easiest way to go silver, write this down. The easiest way to go silver is help somebody else go silver. Easiest way to go silver. Help somebody else do it. Takes all the pressure off of you, all the focus off of you. You're focused on making an impact, helping them get what they want, and guess what? You get what you want. Madeline.
Yes, I got diverted for a minute here. Oh, I was talking to Dave earlier. Estella's on the phone tonight. I have 3 executives that are ready to go silver. So, but they're like brand new as far as having been through a good ABC. And so I want to be able to bring each of them on a Thursday evening so that you can be the super A for each of them, so that then they know what they're bringing their person to. And so if I was asking for clarification on that, maybe others on here, because you mentioned we are the people and we need to be bringing new people, but we have some people that have been with us that are ready to launch now, including us. And everybody's been kind of in a balcony role ever since Zoom and COVID has come into play. And so as far as getting into the action role, I think it would be nice if you might talk about that a little bit, because we have some 10 people that are ready.
Okay, just clarify for me, it is
So to
what it is
clarify, so I would be bringing Estrella, I have Susan,
Yeah.
and I have a Leslie
Okay.
that are ready to launch a silver and are reticent even about doing an
Okay,
AB.
so you're saying they are ready to launch a silver? Like
Well,
they-
they're ready
or
to
they're ready
launch
to-
a business, a business.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so what you're looking for, where they're concerned, is
Bringing
strategy?
them in, me bringing them in, I'll be the B and be quiet, you be the A, and they're the C, so they can experience one of the two of you interviewing them and
On
going
Thursday night, Michael.
on Thursday night, Or we
Okay,
can
so
do it at a separate
so
time, but
let's look at this in terms of the ABC first of all.
Yes,
So you were
yes.
correct. Some of the nomenclature on the document that I released, if I did it again, I will make a modification. Dave and I in the Thursday night represent the Super A, as you called it. It's the A plus in my language, but we're the Super A. Then the launch sponsor, this is the person who has somebody they're bringing to us. So they're the B, technically. The launch sponsor is technically the B in this scenario, bringing their prospect, which is the C. Now, the prospect to the Thursday night call, they could be a person already enrolled, or they could be somebody who's not yet enrolled, but is in need of that what conversation so that they know what they're enrolling into. So the prospect is somebody who is not yet committed to an active role in the business. They may be in the business, but they're not committed to an active role. In other words, they haven't activated yet. Whether they're somebody not signed up or somebody signed up, they've not activated, but they are looking for that information. What does it take? If I get serious about this, what's it going to take? So that's the question they should have. If you're inviting somebody to the Thursday call, the question that should be on their mind is, if I get serious about this, what's it going to take? Dave and I are going to have to quickly identify, what do they mean by if they get serious about it? Like, what is their what? What are they looking for? Because then we're going to have to correlate, what are they going to have to do to that? And I'll give you a simple example, by the way. Somebody prospecting, somebody who says, I'm serious about this business and I want to generate a $3,000 to $5,000 a month income. And I want to do that in the next 6 months. Let's say they gave me those parameters. Then I would be telling them what they should be prepared to do right down to a daily basis. In other words, it's something that they must commit to daily. It can't be every other day. If you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 a month, think about it. And this is an analogy I like to use. I like to ask people, what are you currently doing? Okay. How long did it take you to get to the rank, the role that you currently operate at? What's your current income? They usually break that down to X number of dollars per month. Let's say it's $5,000 per month. They're earning $5,000 a month. The role is vice president of sales and region, whatever the thing is. Well, how long did it take you to get to that role to earn that $5,000? They might say, well, I've been at this job for 3 years. Okay, before that, well, I've been employed for the last 18 years. And before that, I was in college or whatever. Okay, so you just told me you went to college. How much did that cost you? Oh, that cost me a good pretty penny. Yeah. Okay, so you invested like $50,000, $100,000 to get an education. Then you worked for the last 18 years, 40 hours a week. Yeah. And then in the last 3 years, you've ramped it up to a point where you're now qualified to earn $5,000 a month for how many hours a week? For 40 hours a week. So you just informed me of what it is that you are willing to do for $5,000 a month. You're willing to work for 21 years at 40 hours a week to get to the point where you can earn $5,000 a month working 40 hours a week. You've just confirmed what you've been doing and what you're willing to do to earn $5,000. Now, you're telling me now it may not be enough. That's okay. But at least I know what you've been willing to do until now. So now, if we're going to ramp your business from 3 to 5,000 in the next 6 months, is it okay for me to expect something of you? Is it okay for your business to require a kind of a work ethic that you're already committed to elsewhere? Is it fair to say that you should be willing to put in a good 5 to 10 solid, I mean rock solid hours per week, maybe 15? Would that be unfair of a person who's about to give you $3,000 to $5,000 a month? Would that be unfair of an employer coming along and saying, I'm going to give you $3,000 to $5,000 additional money, but you got to give me 15 hours a week, 15 righteous hours? Of course, that's fair. So if we bring context into the conversation, then all of a sudden, this doesn't feel like or seem like pie in the sky. It doesn't seem like we're selling them smoke and mirrors. We're saying what you're asking for is doable, but you've got to be prepared to do what it takes. You've already indicated you're willing to do what it takes to get what you got now. Are you willing to do what we suggest to get where you want to go? And so you can be honest about that. Now, you may not be comfortable having that conversation yourself, but I can assure you, Dave and I would have no problem having that conversation with somebody, because we know if we're not being honest with them, then who are we? What does that say about us? I feel that would be unethical for us to present or represent something that's not real. I feel comfortable saying to somebody, give me 15 hours a week, real hours. I'm going to tell you what to do with those 15 hours. And we're going to build that business up to 3,000 to 5,000 in the next 6 months. That's something I can get excited about.
Put that in a little podcast video or something, because
Can't do it. These are the kind of conversations we have to have in private.
No, okay, but the concept though, because these three women are working full time. One has 7 kids. One has one that's in all kind of sports, and the other one has grandchildren, and she's cleaning houses all over the place. And so they're busy. One is up at 4:30.
Madeline, there's a difference between wanting extra money and wanting time. What do they want?
I understand. So that is, but what I want to say to you is, anybody we talk to today are already doing some other kind of a gig. And so that concept of what it takes, that's what I'm asking you about.
Madeline, I just asked a very, 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 very important delineating question.
What do they want and what are they willing to do for?
Are they wanting money or are they wanting time? Because those two things are not necessarily the same thing. You can get more money with Nikken as a direct sales business. That's not going to give you more time.
I think
you're never going to get to a place where you have time if that's your pursuit.
They're saying more time because they don't feel they have
I think it's really important. That's why this conversation is so relevant. That when we find out what they want, what they really want, it's not necessarily more money. It's freedom.
They want more time for their family.
Yeah, they could survive with the money they have. They just can't keep up. They just can't keep doing what they're doing. It's not sustainable. So what is the value of time? You're never going to get more time operating a direct sales business. You can't get it. That's the left-hand side. So the Nikken opportunity as a retail opportunity or a small business opportunity doesn't afford you more time, just affords you more money. You must learn network marketing if time is what you're after.
Well,
and
thank
one
you.
thing, Michael, to add to Madeline. Madeline, you already have everything you need in tape version, in written version, that explains this whole concept from A to B. So it's there. This was the backbone of the Smart Networker. Is you got to look at this as this is a business. You got to look at it for what it is. And it takes what it takes to get there. And what you got to do is evaluate who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to do. It's really not that difficult to come there. But here's what Michael and I are going to do for anybody that brings somebody to the picnic. we're going to do that grunt work and bring that out so that it's not you that's putting that in front of them, it's us that's putting it in front of them, that then you can support and help them do and get. That's the bottom line of what's going to make this work.
Which was what I was asking to begin with. And I think there's
Yeah.
probably others on here too who have people that they've had that now are interested because they see the plug and play. You know,
Yes, there you go.
Leslie, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And we do make the distinction, like on, there's one slide in my mind. It's the slide that follows the Kiyosaki slide that I have in this presentation, where it says, okay, here's the trading time for money on the left-hand side, and here's the adding value on the right-hand side where you get your freedom of time. In Nikken, there's a corollary. You know, there is a retail business. That's no different than trading time for money.
Mhm.
But if somebody's just looking to, you know, get their feet wet, get a little bit of experience as an entrepreneur, you know, turn the engine on, you know, drive the Uber whenever they feel like it, that's the retail engine. And that can generate some additional income, not freedom of time, but additional income, which some people, that's all they're after. So we have to present that option. The other option is a small business. So when you sponsor a handful of people and you're generating some income from the efforts of others, you've now multiplied your ability to earn extra income, but you still don't have freedom of time. I've never seen anybody at the silver rank have freedom of time.
Yeah, hardworking.
So freedom of time comes at the higher ranks in Nikken. So that means they need to learn network marketing. Now, can they stagger it? Can they stage this? Can they develop one step at a time? Absolutely. In fact, most people, their first year network marketing is nothing but the left-hand side. A bit of retail, a bit of sponsoring. They don't get the network marketing concept because they're not marketing a system. They're just marketing Nikken. You got to market a system. You got to learn how to talk system. You got to present a system. You got to plug and play a system. That's the ticket to freedom. And by the way, coming back to the original conversation, your partner, the person you're looking for, your teammate, your running mate, what are you guys going to do? Like the idea here is create a bonfire, and you want that bonfire to get out of hand. You don't want to control that bonfire. So how do you do that? Pour more logs on the fire. Just get out there together and start doing it 2 by 2, and then 4 by 4, and then 8 by 8. And all of a sudden this thing starts to glow. But you have to envision that now. Like, you have to be excited about a future with Nikken. If you're not excited about a future where that reality is your reality, then you will never manifest that reality. And unfortunately, the only people I can point to right now that are experiencing that reality in spades are the Latin Americans. There's just a few pockets in North America where we still see that kind of activity producing that kind of an experience. But in Latin America, you go to a live event, they're filling the houses. So they are creating bonfires down there. And that's why there's so much success and activity. We have gotten way too lazy, way too cynical, way too comfortable in our behind the screen experience that we're not willing to put it all on the line. You got to be willing to put it on the line. You got to give people a reason to come out of their shell, come out of their igloos, come out of their houses again. Create a dynamic community. Be a builder of wellness, a wellness community builder in your community. Gather people. I'm telling you right now, if you go to a yoga studio, there's people gathering. You go to a church, there's people gathering. You go to a fitness center, there's people gathering. That's happening right now, even though it's post-COVID and all that. There's places where people are gathering around a common theme, a common idea. We need to get people gathering around the Nikken idea. Hattie Jane.
Could you speak to the reality of time management for 7 kids and a job?
Find the time.
No.
Carve out the time.
Simple
Okay, so here's
Suggestions of
what
how
I've
the
learned.
carving could take place.
Here's one of the things that the women in Latin America do because they have young kids. So a lot of them are women with young families. They do the business during the hours that the kids are in school. So rather than being a nighttime business, which they can't manage because unless the kids are in bed. So they have now created a community. They've gathered around the times that they can gather. So their event schedules are based on how they can gather together, the timelines that they can do. So it comes back to what do you want to create? If you're saying, I only have this time to do things, well, carve it out and do things. That makes sense in that time. You know, the story of the big rocks? You all know that story, right? Is there anybody that does not know that story about the big rocks? Okay, let me tell the story because it's a simple story. And I don't know if I tell it right, but because it's been a long time since I've told it, but it's kind of like this. So there's a professor, university professor, he's in front of a class, he's got a bunch of stuff in front of him in this big glass jar. And so he sees that he's got these rocks, so he starts placing these rocks in the big jar until the jar's full, completely full. Can't put another rock in there. Says to the class, so class, would you say the jar is full? And the class looks at the jar and they say, well, yeah, it's pretty full to me. And then he goes and grabs some gravel, which is right next to it. And he starts pouring the gravel, and the gravel slips through all the spaces between the big rocks. And sure enough, he fills the thing right up with gravel. Then he looks at the class and says, what about now? Is it full now? Now the class is not sure how to answer this question. So he takes some sand. He starts pouring sand, and the sand, of course, filters in the big rocks and the gravel and so forth, and he fills the container right up with sand. So he asks the question, so what about now? Is it full? And they're pretty like, yeah, I guess it's pretty full now. I don't think there's going to get anything else in there. And then he gets water, and he starts pouring the water inside, and the water fills up the thing. He says, what about now? Is it full? So, and he says, what do you learn from this? And the answer is, it's never full, right? There's always room for more. That's the answer. That's what they come up with. There's always room for more. That's not what you learn from this. What you learn from this is if you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them all in. So what are the big rocks in your life? The high priority things, the things that are most important to you. So put the big rocks in your calendar first. Those are the immovable things. And then around that comes everything else that you can do. And you can slip that Nikken business in and around all of that and make a career out of this. And then you become an expert of time management because you can show somebody that analogy. What are their big rocks? They may be different than yours, but still the principle that you've taught them is how they can get it done because they put the big rocks in first. Most of the other stuff is incidental anyway.
I may have heard this story, but it was a long time ago. I'm glad you refreshed my memory anyway.
So a story and an example. So it was very good. So a lesson each time. Align with success is a lesson each time. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I don't have any much else. Dave?
No, I think that just on the week. So if you had a game plan, if you had a goal set for the month, we're halfway through the month. This is the time to check what's necessary to reach the goal and readjust activities to meet the goal. So, I used to always do this with numbers. So if the goal was 6,000 for the month, that's 1,500 for a week. So at the halfway point, I should be at 3,000. If I'm not at the 3,000, then whatever number I'm at, then I want to look at how many days I've got to do that and then focus my agenda and my activities towards doing what's necessary to get that job done to make sure that I reach the goal. So that would be the mid-month target, is to evaluate where you are, not for how much you've done, but for what's left to do. And then that creates the plan to move forward.
And the other thing this month is the free shipping over 200 or 250. So the bigger ticket items. So we have the free shipping on the 3 packs with the 10% discount. And then if you sponsor the right people and they're making the investment in their business and their own personal home, they can pick up, if they don't like the packs, they can pick and choose over the 200 and get the free shipping for what they want, especially if they have your item.
The free shipping is an incentive to help convert the sale to something.
Yep.
Either increase the number of the value of the sale, or to encourage the sale to happen in the first place as an offer. So let's understand that incentive is about that, but it's not about bringing people,
No,
talking.
The more people that you have,
Conversations.
more people.
I'll give you another analogy about what Dave just said. How many of you have experienced a wedding?
Yeah.
Now,
All have, yeah.
how did it begin? It began with picking a date, right? First thing you have to do is actually pick a date. And sometimes you don't even pick the date until you know you've got the venue, right? So you got an idea and you got to lock in the venue. But something happens that locks that date, and now you have a date with destiny. I call it a date with destiny. Now, the level of involvement of all the things that have to happen to make a wedding, a successful wedding on that day, there's tons of stuff involved. Photographers, invitations, flowers, the food, the church, just all the clothes, the picking the bridesmaids, the best man, the maid of honor, like all the parties beforehand. And if you think of the plethora of stuff that goes to make that thing happen, when does it happen most intensely?
The last 3 days.
Right? So at first it's like, oh, we have a whole year, we got lots of time to plan. And then as it gets a little bit closer and a little bit closer, as it starts to get closer and closer, panic sets in, things start to have to happen, and the anxiety goes up and the level of activity goes up. Well, so let's say that's a year-long process or an 8-month-long process. Well, we're talking about a 1-month process. We're just doing the same thing inside of a month. Inside of a month, we set a goal. Nothing is going to happen until that happens. You have to have a date with destiny. Otherwise, nothing matters. There's no relative importance. There's no stretching. There's no anxiety. There's no anxiousness. There's no urgency, which is ultimately what we need to create. What's lacking in creating this bonfire, this community, is a sense of urgency. Do you guys have a sense of urgency? Because I don't feel a sense of urgency. And I'll tell you something. When I had a date with destiny, I felt a sense of urgency. I didn't have time to waste. I didn't fill my calendar with useless activities and called it work. It was, show me the money. Show me who's doing what. Like, let's do this. Like, I was on it, like, you know what I mean? Because I had a date with destiny. It was a big one. It was important. It had value to me. But more importantly, I think one of the reasons why I was so empowered by it is because it had value to Nikken. I was the first person to go Royal Diamond in years. I wanted to be the Bannister of Royal Diamond, break that 4-minute mile, get that thing happening again. Well, we need some Bannister moments right now for silver. We need some Bannister moments right now for gold. Those are real. That's real. And believe me, who do you think's going to win? Nikken. And if Nikken doesn't win, you and I don't have a future. So it's really important we get this right and we stop delaying the inevitable. We have to get this right now.
And
So
besides, if
tomorrow-
everybody on this call was blowing and going and bringing in new people and making silvers, golds, and platinums, this call wouldn't be just 20, 30 people. It would be 300, 400, 500 people. And you'd be fighting to get in to say something because that's how much activity would be on the table. And one more thing, Randy, would you look at your chat, please?
Paul, you were
So
saying?
is every meeting now at this Zoom link tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday? Has that happened yet?
It has, yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Well, I think we should end on that note with the idea of a sense of urgency. I think it's really important we all get a log on the fire. Because when we bring those logs to this call, what do you think is going to happen here? We get those logs on a Thursday night call, and everybody's looking at who's in the room and who's doing what. All it takes is one person to say, I'm in, I'm done. I don't need to know anymore. Where do we get started? and then that sets the whole thing on fire.
A forest fire.
Yeah, it's like in-homes. The beautiful thing about an in-home is all it takes is one person to say, I'm in, and then everybody's in. Or one person to say, I'm buying, and everybody wants to buy. That's that match. You light the match. You get all the dry logs in, and then somebody lights that match, and then phoom, it all goes. That's what we need to do. That's what we want to do. That's what we must do. And I can't stress this enough. If you were the CEO of Nikken and you were on this call every week, what would you be looking at?
New people.
Yes, you would be saying, is this call growing? Because that would be the evidence of it being a successful call. Is it growing? We're not here to entertain each other. And we really honestly don't need to know any more than we already do.
Need to do it.
Action. We need to bring some other people to this conversation. Let them here be a part of it. Let them get excited. Let them get this match. Light them up.
So
Thank
if
you.
you have somebody for Thursday night, make sure you register them on the,
On the September launch
September
partner
launch.
chat. Yeah. So September launch partner chat. If you're not sure about that, just send me a text message and I'll send you the link. It's posted. You can scroll up any of the links and look for it. It's the September launch partner chat. That means it's the live chat for those of you who are in the game in September. You're playing with us in September. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michael.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good night.
We're
Good night.
playing September. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.